Hey, party people in the place to be. What's going on, everybody? I'm Dave Valente. Thank you for joining us on the political. God damn it, man. I am joined by the Sassmaster General out of Arizona, Tyler Smith, from Illinois, Emily Hurley, and from much
From
happier,
Mel's Diner.
much happier days, Dan Fishman. How you doing, Dan?
Sunday, Monday. Sorry. Okay. I'm doing good. I'm happy. I'll take away that background. I am excited for a fun meeting today. I had, a long drive this morning that actually was made longer by listening to the LNC meeting. Okay. And then I had a wonderful day on the beach with my fellow Marylanders. I believe that's what they refer to. And that was awesome. So I really enjoyed that a lot. But traffic sucked. COVID is over because it took me 3 hours to get to the shore.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're getting out to the Eastern Shore, it's just, you might as well take a helicopter. I mean, Maryland Eastern Shore is a pain in the ass to get to in the summer. And during the week. I've had a friend that lived down on the Eastern Shore who commuted into DC every day. And that Bay Bridge, if somebody gets into an accident on the Bay Bridge.
Well, I tell you, they do a thing like when the traffic is, I don't know what they.
Yeah, they got the reverse lane.
Exactly. They have a reverse lane. But if you're in that reverse lane, like you're on that bridge was already pretty freaky, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that if you have nobody who's been on that bridge before, it goes up, I would say 25 stories in the air.
Enough to get a cruise ship underneath it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an enormous bridge. It's really long. And when you're in two-way traffic on that bridge, it's insane. Like I did it the other day, and it's funny because I didn't really know where I was going, but I saw like people like doing crazy things to get out of that lane. I'm like, what are they doing? That's more faster traffic for me. And then I got in there, I'm like, holy fuck, I'm going against traffic on the other bridge. And that was really nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah. I mean and best case scenario, that bridge is harrowing in that it bounces and you're up above the water and the state of U.S. infrastructure, Right. We just had a pedestrian bridge fall in D.C. This week, so.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man, we can talk about infrastructure all day. Wait. Sit on it, Potsy.
I hate you.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple of big stories happen this week. The pedestrian bridge in D.C. Taking back seat to the collapse of the apartment building in Miami.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
It looked like a bomb had gone out. It was a controlled demolition.
Well, I mean, it's so big how much stuff was destroyed. I mean, it's astonishing. I mean, I think the death toll is clearly going to be around 200 or so.
Yeah,
based on the number of people who are missing now, and that's certainly sad. But to see, a modern building, and what's interesting about it is, now they're showing that there were some signs, like people had reported there were cracks in the building and stuff like that. And there actually was a report from a few years ago where somebody said, "Hey, this is not what's good. What's happening to this building?"
Yeah, and I do worry because I was in a high rise in Arlington, the Buchanan, which is in the Crystal City section, and that building was kind of around the same age as this one, and it had gone through the DC earthquake, 2010 or so, 2011 DC earthquake, the Virginia earthquake that hit DC, and that the floor in that apartment sloped definitely. I don't know what the extent of the damage for that building was from that earthquake, but watching the stuff that happened this week, Dan's floating in his background now. Oh yes, very nice.
Hang on,
celebrate Pride.
Yep.
Yes, we got June 30th. People for Liberty celebrate Pride.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Chase Oliver is one of our guests. Justin Kumar Ashbrook, who certainly Massachusetts people will know. He was my youth volunteer coordinator. And then Keith Price, who used to host OutQ on Sirius Radio.
Yeah.
You have to be a pretty big fan of Sirius Radio to have found the OutQ channel or know somebody on it. But a friend of mine growing up together. And the funny thing about it is, like, so he already swore me to secrecy, and I'm going to blow this already because, now he's a radio personality. He's very active in the LGBT broadcast community. But I knew him when we were in algebra class together, and we were both math geeks together, and we would write giant polynomials on the board and then refactor them to see who could be the fastest in refactoring them. So I've blown his cover already. But he has an amazing story. He grew up in east of Galveston in Bolivar, Texas. And we're of the same age, class of 85. And he's a guy who, like, this started off of a thing I saw where he was doing an interview as sort of a man on the street thing. And this is maybe 10, 12 years ago with somebody at a Pride. And there's a kid who's 18 years old. And he's like, so is this your first Pride? And the kid's like, no, I've known I was gay since he was 15. And he's like, what? Where was that freedom in my life? Right? I was tortured for like 12 years wondering what the hell was wrong with me. Nobody told me it would have been okay to say that I was gay at 15. It's like, I guess that's what Pride about. So I'm like, dude, you got to say that on my show. So hopefully nobody listened to that because we're going to be saying the same thing in 3 days.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. It is interesting because, thinking about, when I was growing up, kids weren't coming out. But now, I've got a trans niece. I've got another niece who's a lesbian, and they came out well in their school years, and the attitude to me has gotten so much better and so much freer, allowing people to be who they are and learn their authentic self and be able to express themselves.
And Oliver put it really well in a teaser that he did for the show, where he's like, Pride is in many ways the ultimate libertarian event, because it really is just about liberty. Okay. It's about people being able to do whatever the hell they want to with their lives.
Yep.
And everybody else, sucking it up. If you don't, maybe that's not the best phrase.
And just like that, Fishman reignites the caucus war.
Nice.
But, this whole thing, tolerance isn't, you tolerating people doing things that you approve of. Tolerance is specifically tolerating things that you don't approve of, but you don't think you have any right to interfere with or get involved in somebody else's behavior. So Pride is among the most libertarian events that we can celebrate.
I love Pride.
You're here.
I always convey it from this perspective, especially messaging as a libertarian anarchist. It's the ultimate form of self-expression because it allows self-ownership, which is the big gist of what you just said. It's like that. Just that's a soundbite. You can use it. There's no trademark. We don't believe in IP.
I like that self-ownership message in any way, shape, or form.
Yep. Yeah. So as Dan alluded to, we had a LNC meeting today. We are. Basically what was decided at the LNC meeting is that we're going to have a period of 10 days where we're taking nominations from LNC members and alternates.
I thought we were sitting Shiva for 10 days. Sorry.
I want to do some kind of papal, the white smoke comes out when we get a new chair.
So explain to us who can make nominations.
So any full member of the LNC, which is the officers, the at-large members, and the regional members of the committee. The alternates are also the alternates to each of the regionals will also be able to make two. Each member can make two nominations.
So
I've already used one.
There's 23 total. Right. I think we should spoil it and tell everybody who you nominated.
I nominated Dan Fishman to be chair for life.
No. That was not what we said. That is not what I said. This reminds me of a really bad cab ride I had once. You didn't say which airport to take you to.
No, Dan is going to speak for the favorite libertarian candidate, which is Noda.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. Which chair is going to be best for not having a bias for any caucuses? Nobody.
Noda.
Which chair is going to make sure that which chair will guard your money the best? Nobody. Anyway, I'll work on it. I'll be better than that. I won't embarrass you, Dad.
Nice. All right. So, but yeah.
Wait, did you just refer to Dave as Dad?
Well, because
hey, no king shaming. No king shaming. All right.
Oh no! I was just like, I'm gonna jump in on this.
Right.
Hey, Tyler's representing the shirt.
Yes.
You should.
Hey, I got it from Daddy.
Nice.
He doesn't hate it.
We're the libertarian kids you never had.
There we go.
But so that means 23. There are 23 total.
Yeah.
Representatives. Everybody can nominate 2. So I'm expecting 46 candidates.
Well, I think Ken Molman, who is the acting chair, said he's not going to nominate anybody. But I mean, he could always change his mind. But I'm expecting a metric crap ton of candidates.
Yeah,
and everyone getting about 5 seconds to speak.
Right. Well, I think the right thing to do, in my opinion, is
tickle fight.
Everybody should record their own message on either Facebook Live or publish it on YouTube. Because if you can't do that, dude, don't be chair.
Yeah.
I apologize for saying dude. Person, don't be chair. I'm working really hard to try to train myself to stop using gender-specific terms. I don't want to say guys anymore. I'm trying not to say dude, stuff like that. So
say y'all.
You guys can help me along the way.
Pretty sure that dude has lost its gender specificity.
In some circles, yeah. Others, not so much.
Y'all is such a great utilitarian term.
Right. I love using y'all.
Yeah, y'all is my favorite. That's my go-to.
Y'all is great. Peeps, folks, humans of Earth.
Mere mortals.
Or as we say in my community, what's up, bitches?
But there are dogs who take offense at that. That's our word, Tyler.
You're a dog, man? I'm learning so much about you tonight.
Oh, think about the pupper.
He's here because I was eating dinner and he had to see what he could get.
Nice. All right. Excellent. But the other thing that was put off was that there was a move to try and make the investigative committee into the nonsense that happened with LPNH into an outside source, outside group to investigate, which I don't have a problem with that. The only issue that I had was that the one, it's going to be an expensive thing for us to do. Christina Preston mentioned on my Facebook post about it that hundreds of dollars an hour for us to do this. And who knows how long. The motion that they had made was to basically say that there was no budget, there was no scope, there was no schedule attached to this.
Yeah.
And it could have just been this massive money hole. And Tina Turner is on here. Hold on a sec. Doesn't matter that anyone watches this podcast. It doesn't.
It's hugely important, Judith. This is the most important work I've done in my Liberty career.
Yes, Ashley did remove herself from running. We only have one officially announced out there candidate right now, and that's Chuck Moulton.
And James Ogle. Well, he hasn't. Nobody has agreed to sponsor him, but he said that he wants to be sponsored. I'm assuming that somebody will.
Please, dear God, no.
Casey also thinks that bitches cannot be used because dogs are
Trisha,
unhappy about that.
thanks for joining us.
We have one Facebook viewer, and thank you so much for your service.
Well, we got
we have 6 viewers total right now.
I got 8 on mine. So.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, 6 only off of the Facebook page because I can't see the other places that you're streaming it. So this is doing pretty well, actually.
9
In fact, it's doing so well that I'm going to put a shirt on. No, I'm just kidding.
We're going naked.
I'm wearing my LP Maryland shirt.
There you go, man.
Came back from September 11th, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, they're trying to put an LNC meeting that weekend.
I mean, that's why they have alternates, right?
Well, that's why Susan went to the Delaware convention.
Yeah,
and so I'm going to go to Delaware. Well, actually, Maryland will be that crap thing because I need to go hang out with the Maryland folk.
It does. There's something running.
But
we only have like one.
Oh, I hear myself. Dan, are you listening to me?
Well, he hasn't. Nobody's agreed to sponsor him, but he said that he wants to sponsor.
What is going on?
I have no idea.
I hear myself from the past.
So,
I think Dan
in current events, Canada is in the shitstorm today.
What happened? What did Canada do? Well, I mean, besides the kids, the
that thing. Yeah, no, the residential schools and the mass graves and everything like that.
Yeah, that's awful. And we talked a little bit about last week. I mean, so you know, the Native Americans were screwed, and this is not just a Canadian thing. You know, there's a place called Indian School in Albuquerque. There's reservation schools that were all throughout the Southwest. You know, and I talked to a lot of Native elders who would talk about being put in those schools, and you know, they would do things like because there were Catholic schools. If a kid was writing with the left hand, they would get beaten because you know the left hand was supposedly of the devil or whatever.
Sinister.
Yeah.
I made a Latin funny.
Oh my god!
Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, dude, yeah, it's the worst story. I mean, in a history of terrible human stories, right? The smallpox blankets has to be way the fuck up there.
Yeah,
because I mean, smallpox is, you know, we talk about this pandemic. This was nothing, right? When smallpox breaks out every now and then, millions of people died on an earth that barely had millions of people on it.
Yep.
And so then to take blankets that are infected with smallpox and give them into the Indians under the guise of, hey, you know, here's these blankets. It's terrible, truly brutal.
And then, you know, well, like in Canada, though, I mean, those schools, they would take kids out of their communities and ship them off to, you know, far-flung areas. You know, they were taking kids from like Northern Territories. They're taking kids from Yukon and dropping them in these residential schools in British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba. And, you know, they were permanently disassociated from their families. Even the ones that survived the years that they were in those schools never went back home. They were, you know, and the families never knew what happened to them. So there's like this huge disconnect between what happened to those kids and the Native communities that they come from.
Yeah, I think the thing that frustrated me the most, though, it's like if I've done my research correctly on it, the last one of these types of schools, these residential schools, the last one that closed was in 1996. There are people alive that knew about this going on. And the Canadian government's trying to be like, oh, well, we had no idea. You had to have known.
Here's another shitty thing about this is that the Canadian government, the Supreme Court, gave the okay for the Catholic Church to destroy the records of these schools on privacy concerns. So you're not even able to identify the kids that died in this, you know, in those that are in those mass graves. You're not able to, you know, link kids that were stripped from their homes, you know, at such an age that they don't remember who their parents are. You're not able to link those kids back to their families or get those kids the information so they can go back to their old communities and find their families. That's that's just abhorrent.
But it's like what you said, that it isn't just a Canadian thing, because there's stories like this that had happened in the U.S. as well. This is also in a long line of things that we're finally getting revealed to us, like, the forced sterilization that lasted up until the 70s and everything like that for Native women. And like, it's been a really, really upsetting thing, because it's like, it's easy to dissociate with things that happened in the 1700s, 1800s. This happened like recently, like the 70s, 1996. Like, this is while we're alive, that shit like this on a horrible genocidal scale was happening, and it was a systemic genocide. That's what it was. Like, in my personal opinion, like, there was a reason. It wasn't for privacy concerns. Well, no, it could have been their privacy concerns,
Right.
but the whole thing reeks of complete and absolute stated oppression. And anybody that can't see that on face value, despite all the platitudes they get from these governmental agencies, like, we had no idea they had to do this legal route. Break their conditioning, because that's just them telling you the truth, wrapped in a very horrible manipulation of fact.
Yeah, because all this happened with government approval. The removal of children from those reservations happened with U.S. and Canadian government, not only approval, but assistance. And probably money.
Well, and Tyler, you hit the nail on the head with the word conditioning. At this point, I mean, it's the brainwashing is real. And how do we, as libertarians, go about breaking that? Is it by how we're behaving now?
In my opinion, even in like eras I wasn't alive, there's never been a weird politically sociological change as there's been in the past 4 years. We hit reactionary begets a reactionary begets a reactionary in terms of who was the president of the United States. We've run out of, like, I think.
But this isn't an historical anomaly.
It's a political anomaly at this point, with the way, like, viewpoints are shifting. We're seeing resurgences in what we thought were long dead ideologies. We're seeing surges in completely bonkers and new ones. It's kind of crazy, because it's like, I don't know the libertarian answer of how to navigate this type of shit that's just coming out. And I've seen maybe 5 people out of the 4,000 I have on Facebook alone have posted about it.
Yeah. One of the things that I should be taking back to the LNC is that who's doing outreach to the Native communities? Because if there's a group of people that would be ripe for getting the government out of our goddamn lives, it would be the Native communities, because the government has never been a force for good on the Native communities. It's roped them into squalor, and maybe we'll let you have Indian gaming. That's not sufficient. Get the government out of their lives. This is an area that we should definitely be doing outreach to show them, hey, there is a better way to run your lives, and that's allowing yourself to run your lives and not letting some far-flung government make that decision for you. You control your kids, you control your language. That's the thing that they were trying to do, is eradicate all their customs and their language and all that stuff. And it's just, it pisses me off every time I think about it. It pissed me off when I was thinking about it when I was in New Mexico in high school and college, that they were doing this to Native communities in my state. And if you ever travel to a Native community in New Mexico before they got gaming, it was third world in the United States. I mean, they were the Isleta Pueblo was just mud huts, earthen homes, and barely standing up, and grateful that they got the casinos to help build stuff there. But, states are allowing that because they get some revenue off of it, and they should be able to use every dollar that they make off those casinos for themselves, not for the state of New Mexico. What you got there, Dan?
Share it up, baby. It's the classic.
Yeah.
Everybody gets disarmed first. All right.
I remember a conversation with a certain vice presidential candidate one time about like this particular issue of how the libertarian messaging to the Native community and everything like that. And it actually like came up about honoring treaties. Like libertarians, if we come to a contractual agreement, there is a case to be made libertarian speaking to say honor the treaties we had with the Native Americans and redistrict that land for now as an incremental step. And God, I hope no radicals are watching. Don't tell anybody that I said the word incremental. But taking this incremental step to actually make that messaging better, because if we do what this certain vice presidential candidate and I were talking about, like we are honoring a contractual agreement that we came to with people that right now they've been so marginalized and constricted down as they keep redrawing these lines over the years, honoring those trees and restoring all that land back to them. That was the one way that we talked about libertarian messaging to the Native peoples, along with like the meme that you just like put up on screen. It's like, take the guns and the government will take care of you, or like, we have to have a border wall. We can't let them come here. They'll ruin our language. And then there's like a picture of a Native.
Exactly.
Suck.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, I would love to see a little caption with, the Wampanoags, who are the tribe in Plymouth when the Pilgrims landed, having a conversation. Do these people even know what a buffalo is?
Yeah.
It's we're in this crazy world where everything that has happened, like we know how terrible it was. We're like, but we can't fix it. And it's true that we can't fix it, but we could do a lot of stuff to make it better. Casinos, casinos, it just pisses me off because casinos shouldn't be illegal anyway.
Yeah.
So, I do like the idea that it's federal land, but I actually have a pretty good solution because, there's this whole thing about DC statehood now. And I'm going to really piss off Ethan Bishop Henchman right now because I know he's a huge fan of DC being a separate state. I actually don't like that idea for a number of different reasons, but mainly I think the best solution is for all the residential areas in DC to become part of Maryland, which would give Maryland another congressional seat. And then all the federal land should be returned to the Piscataway tribe, and the federal government should be paying them rent on it. And they should like lock it down too. If like they don't like the way things are going, sorry, this building is closed.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, you want Citizens United? We'll give you Citizens United.
Excuse me.
But speaking
federal
of
government start paying rent. I love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of guns, Joe Biden gave a long, rambling, winding speech of some sort about gun control.
Which Joe?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Okay.
The one who whispers.
That speech made me laugh so much because he's like, we've got F-15s and nukes. I'm like, I worked on F-15s. That's not the selling point you think it is.
Yeah. Well, what is it with Democrats promising to nuke people over guns? Like Eric Swalwell did this when he was running for president. Now Joe Biden is, they well, that was just a joke.
Right.
No, I mean,
way to be classy, Mr. President.
I'm going to disagree. I'll nuke you for it.
It's one thing when he says that. It's another thing where he goes, "Don't make me pull a Philadelphia on you and bomb your city."
Yeah. And well, but he
well,
also
this guy didn't surrender his AR. Sorry, Manhattan.
Right. Don't make me give weapons to Al Qaeda like we did before.
Yeah,
you guys in line.
Al Qaeda, the cartel in Mexico.
Yep.
How many guns have we given away? Weapons of war don't belong on the street. Well, you guys are giving away quite a few weapons of war.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then, the idea that, he keeps saying that weapons of war don't belong on the streets, but then, he's continuing to do the 1033 program. He's continuing to hire more cops. He's continuing to, he wants to increase the number of police on the streets, and
Larry Sharp made a great point about this on the Juneteenth broadcast, where he said, the last time the Democrats did something like this, they said they were going to put 100,000 police officers into black neighborhoods to control crime, but it was only funded for 2 years. As a result, all those police officers had an incentive to be able to pay for their jobs with civil asset forfeiture. So if they're in black neighborhoods and they have to arrest people and confiscate stuff, I mean, how much bullshit is that? And obviously the answer is
it's all bullshit. Yes. 100% bullshit.
Yeah. Singing for your supper is never a good recipe for controlling costs, certainly, but it also is very ripe for abuse, as we've seen with the 1033 program and police and, pretty much all of government. So,
yep. Well, and, I'm sure that we're going to find that there was also at least a financial reason for all these terrible schools in Canada, that it was cheaper to put all the kids in this terrible place than it was to, actually educate them and give them an upbringing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very sad. Not a lot of great news this week when you think about it. There never really is a lot of great news, but we've lost a couple of former Libertarian presidential candidates this week. McAfee took his own life after a Spanish court ruled that he was going to be extradited from Spanish jail to the United States to face tax evasion charges. And then Mike Gravel, former Democrat turned Libertarian, running for the nomination in 2008, passed away this morning, I believe.
Yep. And then Steve Horowitz. I don't know how many of you guys knew him, but a real force in the Libertarian Party. And I didn't know him well, but lots of people who I really respect considered him one of the great minds in the party. And I know that every exchange that I had with him made me smarter. So no question about it. And, so let's loop that around to some good news about the person who has done more good for the Libertarian Party than anybody else this year. And that is Ken Mollman and the LP Get Fit Caucus. The LP Get Fit Caucus has lost, I'm going to just throw out a number, like 9,000 pounds or so. I mean, it's really impressive. And over 100 of those are Ken. But he specifically started it. He's like, look, we're having all these fights and it's exhausting. And, well, he might have said, and Dan, you're really fat. But it could be more general than that. And he said, libertarians, you need to lose weight. We need to lose weight. And so he put his money where his mouth is, and he started this caucus where nobody fights about anything, and we share recipes, and people besides me lose weight. But I'm going to get there. And it is, that's an awesome thing. And so, we think about this. Let's look at some of these, the losses that we've had and think about what can we do to preserve ourselves. And I'll say this for you guys who are all younger than me, you have no idea what healthcare is going to be like in your 80s. It's going to be so much better than it is now. So it's so worthwhile. Tyler, got to quit the tobacco.
Once it gets taken over by the government.
Yeah. Dave, you and me got to get thin. Yeah. Emily, I don't know what you need to work on, but maybe positivity, more laughter in your life.
Okay.
Right? Because, I mean,
that's a smart man.
Then you're going to die.
But I like how libertarians, we need to get thin, and Dave and I both took a sip of our soda like
that's a positive thing. I always say that in cases of grief, it's always good to recognize the fact that grief is terrible, but it would be so much more terrible to not have anything to grieve. So the fact that there's something in your life that was so awesome that it makes you sad that it's not there anymore. Relish that, because a lot of people don't have that.
That being said, I want to throw something else under the umbrella of who we need to remember this week. We lost Johnny Hurley.
Yes.
Who, acting in true libertarian form to protect his community, still fell at the hands of the state.
Yep.
So I just wanted to throw him out there to make sure he got recognized.
Yeah, I mean, he ran helping an officer who was shot against a guy who was promising to shoot more officers. Took the guy down and died at the hands of the police as a thank you.
Has there been any camera footage released of that yet? I haven't seen any.
I don't know. And the police really haven't officially
said in the doctoring process, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a rough week. And we're I'm looking forward to after Thursday taking it.
Right.
So no show next week because it's 4th of July, and
that's a good thing. I mean,
it's my birthday.
The Lightning lost. That was good.
Lightning lost.
Oh, sorry, not the Lightning lost. The
Islanders.
Okay.
Not the Islanders. Actually, I mean, I would have rather seen the Islanders beat the Lightning, but the Golden Knights lost. That made me happy.
Yes, they did. Montreal's miracle run through the playoffs is continuing. If they beat Tampa, that's probably the most impressive Stanley Cup run I've ever witnessed.
First Canadian team to win in
20
years.
28 years.
Right, since before Canada was a country.
since before Canada stopped sending kids to residential schools.
Right. Ooh, wow.
Oh, spicy.
Did you know that in the early days of the NHL, there was a geographic restriction on who could be on your teams?
Yeah.
So it could only be people who would live within 100 miles of the city where you played. So of course Canada won all the first Stanley Cups. No American team could have Canadians on it.
Yeah, it's amazing how people are like, oh, Montreal's got what 20 something cups that they won, but in Toronto we'll say, oh, we've got 11 Stanley Cups, but Toronto hasn't won a cup since the league expanded from 6 teams to 12. They haven't won a cup since they've had a 1-in-6 chance to get it.
But that's super crazy because not only are they Canadian, Toronto is the 4th largest city in North America. So they can certainly afford a good team, and they've been competitive. But it is astonishing that they haven't put anything together.
They got more dollars than cents.
Right. I blame ownership.
Oh, yeah. From Howard Ballard to the current kind of Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment group that runs it now.
I think it's actually Dudley Do-Right, the Canadian Mountie, who currently owns the Toronto team. So,
so Stanley Cup starts tomorrow night. Montreal versus Tampa. First 2 games are in Tampa. Third game is in Montreal. There's talk about increasing the number of fans that are able to attend in Montreal from 3,500 to who knows.
it would be awesome. And for people who have never seen a Les Habitants game, it's really cool because they sing the Canadian national anthem in French.
Yes,
which is great.
Les enfants de la patrie. Yes.
Exactly. Right. Actually, most people know that now because they've played NHL, whatever, on EA.
Yeah.
But for us in Boston, I used to always love that because the singer was actually the Boston singer Renee Valancourt was French Canadian, and so he always did a really good job on it.
It's a fun song to sing.
It is. I love "O Canada." That's a great national anthem. I mean, it's funny. That's one of my favorite things about international sports is hearing other countries' anthems. And one of the things that cracks me up, I don't know how many of you guys are following the UEFA Cup right now, but England England, Scotland, and Wales were all in as individual teams, which is crazy because they could play as Britain and be a lot more competitive, but they refused to do it. But, England, like having been top nation for a long time, actually. So when I went to school in England for a year, and I took my A-levels in British history, and we studied a book called Top Nation, the history of the world from 1066 to 1945. And it's sort of the history of England in that era. And at the end of the book, it says, after 1945, it was clear that America was now top nation, and history ended.
It's kind of like the Ron Swanson thing, where he's like, history didn't begin before 1776, while he's in London.
Yep. And so obviously the English have a great national anthem, but like they claimed everything that is the best for them, right? The English animal is the lion. There's never been a lion in England. The English flower is the rose, right? It's the best flower. The best of everything that they take is English.
How dare you disparage Richard the Lionheart?
Who only lived in England for 6 months.
Yep.
And he hated it.
However, his brother was so terrible that they decided that every toilet would be named after him.
Yes. Or was that just Mel Brooks?
It might be Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I have enjoyed listening to in UEFA all the other international anthems. What's up, Holly?
Hey, Holly. I love the Italian anthem. It's very, very rhythmic. I like that one.
Very
one
opera-esque.
One of my favorite anthems is New Zealand. Very, very beautiful. Yeah, it's a very beautiful anthem.
That's it. I have a tie. I like the Georgian national anthem and the Romanian national anthem. I can't decide which one I like better, though.
Georgia country, not state.
Yeah, we have to talk about the fact that the Borat theme was played at the last Olympics for Kazakhstan.
It was. It happens every once in a while. Kazakhstan gets to some international competition, and some local
well-meaning person.
Well-meaning person Googles Kazakhstan national anthem and gets the Borat one, which is just the U.S. anthem with other words.
Anti-Semitic drivel.
Yeah, just like, oh,
we hate the Jew.
So how like he does that greeting in the movie too, Yek Samesh? That's not even Kazakh. It's Polish.
Polish, yeah.
My sister is number 4 prostitute in all of Kazakhstan.
Welcome to the political deep dive.
All right, what he says about his wife, though.
Tyler shaved his head.
Okay, so there's a story behind this.
Yes.
One I'm not proud of, so of course I have to share it with complete strangers watching right now.
Good.
I was trying to actually, cut my hair back to the style I had it, like when I ran for Congress a couple years ago. Long on top, little fade on the side, almost fashy but still trustworthy.
Like high and tight.
No, but I was trying to kind of do like that kind of like coiffed look, and my clippers broke mid-stroke, right about here.
Oh.
So it turned into, the guard popped off. I've got this Sinead O'Connor look going on. So I decided I was just going to buzz it all down.
Well, just remember, nothing compares to you.
Dude, you say Sinead O'Connor, and now I'm going to pick up a picture.
I was hoping someone
would
would
tear it up. No, I'm just kidding.
that would have been a statement.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been terrible.
That was a multifaceted statement.
It would have been like our breakup photo where I tear it up. How dare you run as a Republican?
Are made of these.
Nice. Wait, that's the Eurythmics.
That's Eurythmics.
Right.
Nothing compares to you.
Oh, that's right.
Which was written originally by Prince.
Was it?
Prince wrote Nothing Compares to You, and actually his version of it is pretty good. Like pretty much everything else that Prince does.
Yeah.
Did you know that Prince had epilepsy?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I knew he was short and wore platform shoes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, that's what actually killed him, because he wore these really uncomfortable shoes that caused him to have chronic pain, which caused him to take a lot of painkillers, and sucks. I really liked Prince. He was amazing.
Yeah. On a very slightly related note, King Henry VIII actually had a similar vanity death. Calves were the thing, and he was very proud of his calves, and there were some bands that he tied around under his knees that caused great swelling, and eventually, and he still did it like through his whole life, even when he was old and fat, and that's the sore on his leg was really what caused him to die. So anyway,
No, I'm getting old and fat, and I've got massive. I don't have calves. I've got cattle. I don't know. I mean, like,
don't tie bands around your legs.
I'm not. I mean, I don't. I generally wear like low cut socks because I don't like.
David, it's not an unwarranted warning, though. We're from West Virginia at this point. We've seen weirder.
It's true.
So. I saw a man walking a dead raccoon once in central West Virginia when I was doing.
I don't think you could call that walking.
Dragging. So apparently,
the legs were paddling around while he pulled them up.
Spotted on I-81 today. There was a runs right through my town here. It is a Jesus Volkswagen Beetle. It says like "Find Jesus" or something like that. But on top of the Volkswagen Beetle is another Volkswagen Beetle, upside down. My whole comment was bug mating season, so majestic, but
I don't think that's how it works, David. Though, like, have you?
He's a dead beetle on a live beetle. He is the beginning and the end.
It is the Alpha and Omega Beatles.
I'm glad I had you guys here to figure that one out, because I was confused as shit.
Did you guys get any cicadas?
Oh God, yes. They're dive bombing cars. Like I-81 was really bad. Like flying into people's cars. Nobody was riding around with windows open for a while. They're gone now, thank God, because basically scream fuck die is their whole life cycle. And for like, you could be driving, windows up, radio on, air conditioner on, you could still hear them, like they were in your car with you. That's how loud. If you rode by a wooded area, how loud they were. It was amazing. But yeah, they're creepy, and I'm fully convinced that Mothman was a cicada, just a giant cicada, because they got the same red beady ass eyes. I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
Corroboration, like right here, from the mountains of West Virginia. I saw those red eyes several times when I was little.
Oh.
I saw the Nicolas Cage Mothman movie.
Yeah.
I that's all I know about the story. I didn't realize there was a West Virginia legend about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He appeared right before the Point Pleasant Bridge plunged into the Ohio River, and that's kind of the really where the legend just kind of kicks off, is that he was spotted, and then like the next day the bridge collapses.
You can see like the iridescent
right at dusk
of his eyes, like in the pitch black. Like,
yeah.
I assume you guys have seen the first Blair Witch movie.
I had not. I've never watched the Blair Witch Project.
We don't talk about that.
I definitely would recommend the first movie, but the essence of it, how it's sort of shot as a
like
documentary, these reels of film. So they did this guerrilla release of it, where they sent the film around in canisters to a bunch of college campuses, and had somebody show it like in a basement, saying, it's this controversial film that was actually found in Maryland, and we're trying to sort of get the word out about this. And so they showed it like in this creepy room, and like people are like really freaked out, but they like made it seem like it was a real movie, documentary, stuff like that. And like, So, if you hear people, so that when they actually released Blair Witch, people were like, oh my God, I know all about this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Very clever campaign.
It got a bad rap. I think it's a good movie.
Oh, the first one's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that it was a really good movie. I'm not a real big horror movie fan.
Well, it's not a horror film as much
It's not traditional. It's not like a slasher.
It's a thriller.
Exactly. Yeah. It's definitely scary. Like we were talking about this the other day. I think I mentioned I've been really into reaction videos, and like the millennial reaction videos in particular. And so millennial watching The Exorcist for the first time was awesome, because The Exorcist has so many things that are like almost subliminal. Like at one point in time, she's standing there and like the lightning flashes, and there's a face behind her in the lightning flash against the reflection, stuff like that. All these little things. That movie was so scary. And that sort of thing, like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of gore and gross stuff that happens in the Exorcist too, but like those super scary movies, I don't like a scary movie either. I don't really like a supernatural one. And then again, this is one of those things where, like, you probably have heard this too, Dave, being in the DMV area, but Exorcist is based on, somebody's real story.
The book was put in what was written about DC, but it was actually about an exorcism in St. Louis, and the hospital that this reportedly had taken place in the church were up the street from where I lived in St. Louis for a year, and I would never go to those places. It was a messed up movie.
That is. Like, I remember seeing a commercial for it as a kid, and actually it scared me so much that it changed my entire life, because after that, my parents wouldn't let me watch television anymore. So as a child, I was only allowed to watch 2 hours of television a week, and I had to like plan it. So not counting Sesame Street and stuff like that. But that was back when the Wonderful World of Disney was an hour every Sunday. And then I would watch Wild Kingdom, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. And then I don't remember what my other show was. But so I ended up having to read a lot, because The Exorcist scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I saw the commercial on television.
Okay, so I put some comments on my personal Facebook page. I don't see all the comments that come in through my personal Facebook page. So you either go to the Political Deep Dive Facebook group and watch there, or my YouTube page, youtube.com/Papaduke. And I put that in the comments on my Facebook page. You should be able to comment, and I'll be able to see them pop up on.
If your YouTube channel is Papaduke, I don't understand why you complained when we all called you Daddy.
Right?
I did not complain. Look at my name.
He changed his name.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I'm not the most.
I noticed it when it first happened. That's why I snickered during like a very moment of solemnity earlier.
So I got a new computer a couple weeks ago, and was invited onto a Zoom call with Steve Sheets, and we were just talking and having a good time. And I put my name into Zoom because there was a new computer. I had to re-put everything in, and I sometimes I call myself Dirty Dave Done Dirt Cheap, and so I forgot. But the next night we were doing the LNC meeting, the first of the LNC meetings, and I log on, and it's like Dirty Dave Done Dirt Cheap, and I was like, oh. I'm trying to change my name, and
it could have been so much worse, Dave.
It could have been, but I tried to change the name, and I went up to the little three dots, and there's no rename. And I was like, oh. It's like, Tyler, could you rename me, because I was in a party last night, so laugh on that one.
I have a question. Facebook and StreamYard don't have anything against showing weapons on camera. I know YouTube might, but I wanted to show you guys this weapon that my friend gifted me.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Oh, shit, son.
Get him.
Just
Let's see what I got lined up.
Rock him to sleep. Rock him to sleep.
Show me your guns.
Love it. Love it.
I just wanted to make sure, because I don't know if YouTube will block this video now. I shut a weapon.
I know people. All right.
Sorry.
So Dan's actually going to get us banned from YouTube.
Yeah, we're banned right now. Yeeted.
It's an airsoft. It's an airsoft.
Yeah, clearly there was an orange tip.
Yep.
Yeah.
That actually was an air rifle. But what's crazy about it is it's an air rifle that has a higher muzzle velocity than the 22.
Nice.
It was insane.
Excellent.
Talk about insane for a minute. What the fuck was up with Joe Biden's whispering? Like, is there a legit reason? Like, or is he just crazy?
I was really worried where you were going to go with that. Talk about insane.
I was invested too. I was like, oh my God, where are we going with this?
Talk about insane. At that LNC meeting, no, don't say that, Emily.
I'm not following that shit.
David got in trouble.
I have a life.
Yeah.
Sorry. No offense. I know
No.
good people
I
are
agree with
trying.
that.
They're working very hard to do the right thing. But
Some are.
I dream of that life.
yeah, I'm disappointed for what my measly opinion's worth.
Peace, love, and
Love, peace.
And reading?
Read and be free.
Heck yeah. I want that. I
Hmm.
want one. Where can I get one, Dan?
I don't know. It's super old, and I have to confess,
Aw.
Oh, yeah, it is old.
I
It
got
was
it
just
from,
a status symbol, Emily.
Fuck.
no, I mean it's a real
Yeah, I
pet.
can-
My mom was a librarian, and she had a million little things like this, and so I got it from her.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really nice. One of my favorite.
So our stream is about just getting together, talking about whatever we want to talk about. Really, I mean, it's politics, pop culture.
Ask us a question, Requets.
Yes.
You know what I say? It's better to request something you have done than to request something you haven't.
Requests actually did ask us a question. So,
And Daddy was answering it, Dan.
Sorry. Everybody needs to be quiet while Daddy's talking.
Turn this car around.
We're recording this, right? I need this soundbite for his ringtone in my phone. Daddy requested it.
What is the topic of the stream? The stream really, I mean, there is no topic. We talk about the current events going on. Talk about.
We want you to be free.
Yeah, generally from a libertarian perspective.
So to give a straight answer, it's normally a week in review, and we're allowed to engage in our vices here that make us a little bit more sarcastic and mean-spirited about it. But, you know, it's a week in review. And then we also poke jabs at each other. Dan, hold on. Daddy may not be talking, but I'm next to him, so I have authority here.
That's hot. Like, I'm enjoying this.
So we do a week in review to answer Riquette's or Riquette's question. Excuse me.
Yes.
So you know, a lot of people think that Requets is an unusual name, but you know, as Frank Sinatra sang, Requets, I've had a few.
Oh my God.
But then again, too few to. Oh wait.
All right, we're I'm sorry.
Hola, Requets.
Requetes.
Yeah. I don't know how to ask you what your gender is in Spanish. Requetes. No, we're gonna work
Come on,
better on
Tyler.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, what's our polyglot say?
What?
Right.
You don't. That's not how you ask.
He's a man.
Your man. Do you hablo español? Poquito?
Oh my God.
Okay.
What?
So there's an outstanding broadcast, Libertarios Españoles, in Spanish. I can't recommend it enough. If you go to People for Liberty, look for People for Liberty on YouTube, and there's an outstanding Spanish language broadcast about the same thing that we're talking about in English, if you would prefer that. However, definitely stay with us as well. Thanks to peopleforliberty.org. and you can find our Libertarios Hispanios listed there. Where are you calling in from, Mercedes? First time caller, long time listener. I also.
Oh no, he likes to use English as fun language.
Yeah, because my Spanish is terrible.
Yeah.
Most of what I've learned is from.
By the way, just to address this for future, tu género would be how you would ask somebody's gender.
How would you say it?
Tu género.
Spain.
Interesting. Navarre in Spain.
Yep.
That's on the coast. That's all I know. I don't know which coast. And I think it's a pretty safe bet because Spain has 4. That's what I thought.
In the north, is it close to Andorra? One of my favorite micronations.
Andalusia. Next to Basque. I was at a Basque in 1986 when Basque was really like into independence. I went there when this terrorist, one man's terrorist, another man's freedom fighter. But Basque people were really fighting for independence in the mid to late 80s.
Oh, speaking of Spain, the king or the government pardoned the Catalonian separatists that were in jail over the failed independence bid by the Catalonians in the 2016, I think.
And
Andorra, yay!
I have to point out that Spain is playing Croatia tomorrow in UEFA.
Yeah.
And so my
Spain's
right. My partner is from Croatia. Well, her mom's from Croatia. Her dad's from Slovenia. And we bet a ridiculous amount of money on Croatia in the World Cup. And it was awesome because, we had huge odds, like, 240 to 1.
Yeah.
And so when they made it to the final game, I actually was able to lay half of it off. So no matter what happened, I ended up, I won a lot of money. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm sorry to indicate this. I'm going to be rooting for Croatia, but I have to say that you guys looked really good in the first round. See, that's the problem, is that this always degenerates into a sports conversation. It's your fault, Tyler.
It is. No. I don't even know how, but you know what? At this point, the way the past 2 weeks are going, anything can be anybody's fault.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So the next World Cup, isn't that the one that's going to be in Qatar?
Qatar.
Yeah. Yes. So, that's kind of fallen out of everyone's radar with the delays in qualifying and all that stuff due to COVID. But
it is. It's an interesting thing because it really was built with slave labor.
Yep.
And like there was a body count that they knew beforehand because just construction projects in Qatar have a fatality rate of whatever. And they knew how many stadiums they were going to build. And they're like, so if you give it to Qatar, it's going to cost them, and I don't remember the number, it was like something like 1,700 lives. 1,700 construction workers will die in order for Qatar to host the World Cup. And
it's not just the safety aspects. They skirt some of that stuff, but could you imagine building a stadium in 130-degree heat in the middle of the summer? That's a big thing. But they do also skirt some safety regulations that you don't see in the United States. Of course, the United States, Canada, and Mexico host the next World Cup, which will be exciting because that one actually has. We're going to expand the field up to 40-something teams,
from 32 to 48, I think.
I think so. Which means, it almost guarantees the United States. The fact that it's in the United States guarantees that the United States will be in the 26 World Cup. But
it's interesting. Is it going to guarantee getting in for Canada?
Yes, all three countries guaranteed to get in, which means half of the slots for CONCACAF are reserved for the hosts.
That's interesting. I mean, God bless Canada, but their men's soccer team is not particularly good.
No.
The women's soccer team is pretty competitive.
Yeah.
But
and their men's soccer team is like 60th in the world or something like that.
Yeah. Frankly, I'm impressed that it's that high. Although Canada is not as small population as we used to make jokes about.
Yeah.
Because as we said, Toronto,
they're also benefiting from the fact that they are allowing a lot of immigration. They're not as asshole as about immigration as we are down here.
right?
So their sports teams are improving. It's just it's hard when you're next to the United States, which has far larger population and far more success than you've had.
Although they are disproportionately represented in our television and film industry.
Oh yeah,
entertainment in general. Actually, that's one of my. It's hard to have a good Harvey Weinstein story, but there is an interesting one where I can't remember who it is now. But who is the main guy on 90210, the actor who played Brandon Walsh? Jason Priestley. So whoever Jason Priestley was dating somebody at the time, and Harvey Weinstein called her up to his room and did one of his very awkward, unfortunate, terrible, rapey, but she got out. And then Jason Priestley, next time you saw him, punched Harvey Weinstein in the nose. And that part's documented, that just a big punch. And Weinstein's like, I will end your career. Which he sort of did, right? Jason Priestley didn't do anything after 90210, except that he went to Canada and he was on Canadian television he's been on Canadian television this whole time. And then there's this detective show, I don't remember what it's called, but he's been very successful on it. So he's still a big star in Canada.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
But it's very satisfying. I mean, we as libertarians eschew violence to achieve political and social gains. But, I will say that with Tyler taking a long swig from his Twisted Tea, I will say the most satisfying video of last year was the Twisted Tea meeting of that dumbass racist.
You know what? I meant Harvey Weinstein, not Epstein.
I thought you said
you said Weinstein.
Did I say Weinstein? Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
It was Mira Sorvino was the actress.
Oh.
I'll answer it.
I wait. I knew this question was coming, to be quite honest.
All right.
Go for it.
Please, Tyler. David, you should give Tyler his close-up while he answers this.
He's ready for his close-up, Mr.
Wait, get my good side. No, oh shit! I really do it. I guess the best way to put this, I am an anarchist, or soy anarquista.
Yo soy
I think any state seeking independence absolutely should seek it, so long as there is actually a collective agreement that they can function better on their own. So while I may not philosophically or politically agree with the motivations behind a Catalonian independence, I will say that I support any nation's drive on moral pretexts to separate.
Me next. So I will agree with that. We think, in the United States, we have these separate states. And in fact, the name of what we are is United States. And we believe that if the federal government has a legitimate role, it is to protect the rights of the individuals from smaller sovereign states. And so, one of the things, we have, the shameful past, the original sin of the United States is slavery. And there were all these laws in the South where government worked to maintain separate but equal, Jim Crow, all these terrible conditions for African Americans. in that case, if like a small state wanted to go off and be a small racist state, I think that there is a vested interest to make sure that people don't lose their rights beforehand. So if there are people who were citizens of Spain who were afraid that they would be discriminated against in Catalonia, I think that that's part of the issue, and I confess that I don't know that part of it. I know that that was an issue in Northern Ireland, that the Northern Irish, who were predominantly Protestant, were afraid that they would be persecuted if they were absorbed into Greater Ireland. It's not a great answer, but we believe that civil liberties are really important, and that nobody's freedom should be threatened. And setting up a smaller government that's worse than the larger government doesn't improve anything.
And my turn.
But a smaller government that's better than the larger government is.
And my firm belief is that we should be at every step of the opportunity, that we should be inverting the power pyramid from a far distant capital to as locally as possible, so that the most important people in your life are your family first. You're able to make the decisions in your life and do what you want to do with your body, as long as you're not harming someone else. To the extent that we can keep government out of our lives, we should do that. But if there is to be a government, it should be as local to you as possible, so that you can interact with the people running it, and that you can affect change at the local level that is impacting your life on a daily basis, rather than for us. I don't live too far from DC, but if I went to Washington D.C., walked into my representative's office and sat down and wanted a meeting, I'm not getting that meeting. I'm going to get a pass to go see the debate on the floor, and that's pretty much it. Maybe a tour. But if somebody from Archer Daniels Midland or Dow Chemicals comes into the office, they will see that congressman immediately. I have no real power to change what's going on in DC. But I can go to my city council. I can. In fact, I did it last week. I can go to my, if I'm in a city, I can go to the city council. Making government as accessible to you as possible, as local to you as possible, in the cases where you actually absolutely have to have it. So that's my feeling. So yes, I do support independence movements. Again, I do think that we do have to protect the rights of the individual. That is paramount. So not sticking people into a bad country from jump would help. So I would have to look at the Catalonia situation, but that's kind of my take on it. Emily, do you want a chance? Want to crack at it?
Bravi, all three of you. I couldn't possibly add.
You could.
I would. All of my opinions have been already expressed by you three.
Excellent. So anyway,
I think a couple of things that we just on top of that, we have to mention the unbelievable sausages and salamis that come out of Catalonia. They are fantastico.
This is why I'm never going to succeed in the Get Fit caucus.
Right?
Yeah. And I believe, Navarre also has some really specialty products that are right. That's where there's Navarre wool is very famous, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's
It's fascinating to me to look at humanity in, and forgive me, my edible's kicking in, so I may be waxing.
No king shaming.
Well, yeah. So philosophic, but we're still apes, and tribal ones at that. And look at us trying to figure it out. It's not going very well.
It's true. As far as government goes, we really have not ever been able to learn how to govern over one another successfully.
Dave, I actually shared a couple of memes in our Facebook chat, which correlate to that. I don't know. I haven't taken the time to verify that this is a cycle, but it appears that there's a revolutionary cycle, actually a few of them, that are a certain number of years apart, and we're converging on like all three of these cycles right now. I think it's an interesting thought that society could have rebellious cycles
on a kind of on a 100-year cycle, because we're kind of repeating the same mistakes that we saw with World War I into World War II. The breakdown of society, the grasping for resources. It may be different this time around. Maybe water's the more important resource.
Hey, thanks for sharing that, Mercedes, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You made a nice little clip of us.
Sweet.
I disagree with something that Tyler said earlier, that what we're seeing now is a political anomaly. We've seen this in history. People will absolutely radicalize for no reason other than community, and attach themselves to politicians.
But look at where I mean, financially, this is kind of a house of cards that we're going through, and some people are doing really well, but there's a lot of people struggling, and people are like, "Oh, well, crime's going up." Well, crime goes up when people are struggling. I mean, that's just there's a direct relationship. That whenever there's, and crime overall is down from say like the late 80s, early 90s, but we're seeing a rise in crime, seeing a rise in violent crime in cities, because we've kept people home for how long? We've destroyed the economy. We're printing money like it's less than monopoly money. And we're falling into this trap that people are going to, and politicians have been exploiting it. That we know that they're pitting us into smaller and smaller groups, so we keep fighting each other, so we don't fight them, and that's the problem. The politicians are our problem right now.
Fight the power.
Fight the power.
Heck yeah.
Yo, Chuck, what's up? I was just listening to the Academy on my drive home. All right, let me share this since we were just talking about it.
All right,
well, I don't know if that's going well or not. Oh, you guys can see it.
Twitching.
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Is man the apex of creation or just the ex-ape?
All right, we're all pretty much in the libertarian camp.
Not me. I'm one of the Republican spies who. Fuck! You guys killed me.
We got the truth.
Yeah.
Did share that picture of Weld.
Por todos nosotros, Partido Libertario de los Estados Unidos.
What he said. Yeah. Yeah, we're all in the libertarian camp, and we're members of the Libertarian Party, and
for freedom.
For freedom, yeah, human freedom, greatest thing. And I spent an hour tonight, actually an hour and 15 minutes, talking about Iran tonight. Iran elected a new president this last week, gentleman by the name of Ibrahim Raisi. We should get very familiar with this name. He is a hardliner. He's also kind of the heir apparent to the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So if he kicks it at any time in the next few years, we'll probably be seeing Raisi as the new supreme leader of Iran. Not sure what kind of impact he's going to have on the joint comprehensive plan of action negotiations. Again, it's a pain in the ass that I've been really angry about the JCPOA negotiations, because we're trying to put preconditions on Iran for rejoining a a deal that we broke. We were the ones who broke it. Donald Trump was like, worst deal ever. I'm getting out. And now we're like, oh, Iran, if you want to come back, you got to do some things before we let you back in this deal. Whether, what your feelings about Iran is, they are a state sponsor of terror. But we also have military bases all around that damn country and have fucked with that country multiple times throughout the years. And it's sad to watch the human impact of what we've done as far as, the worst thing that you can do to a country is put it on, to the people of a country, is to put it on sanctions. The cost of sanctions is devastating for people. They never hurt the people that you want to hurt. They don't hurt the leaders of the country. They're doing, fine. It's hurting the local people that, they can't get medicine into their country because the government, even if we give medicine to the country, government takes it, sells it, and uses the cash to buy whatever they want, whether it's weapons or centrifuges or whatever. So if you ever hear your government wanting to do sanctions on a country, it's never going to work the way you say it is. And it's basically sanctioning the murder of innocent people in another country.
But we don't know them, so it's all right.
Yeah, they're other people.
Right.
Again, it's the whole othering of people. And
Yes.
That's the worst thing that we can do is to look at whether they're Iranian or a Trump supporter or a person that is a democratic socialist, and demonize them and think that they are less than human, because that is how genocides happen.
Every single time.
If you ever read anything about the Tutsis and the Hutus and in Rwanda and the causes of the civil war there, or the animists and the Muslims in Sudan and the civil war there, and then the different tribes of people in Somalia and the civil war there, it's repeated. It's the foreign colonial powers would use divide and conquer, keeping the people warring at each other, and then they just leave the country when the wave of independence hit, and those shock waves of disparate people being forced to live together and have been, historically fighting one another, is what led to all of the issues that we're seeing in Africa now. So, Dan, you got a smile on your face. What'd you do?
He did either a Rock'em Sock'em Robots or Punch and Judy. Which one was it?
Fighting with fighting. Yeah, Tyler, I'm with you. I think 11 o'clock is going to be my bedtime tonight. Man,
Yeah.
I spent too much time in the sun.
I hear you guys.
Hey, Dave, can you post that comment for Raquetes? Raquetes, we're going to put a comment into the Twitch chat, which I can't do, but Dave can do.
Yeah.
And if you follow that, that'll take you to Libertarios Hispanios and a tremendous amount of Spanish language content about what we agree in. That one particular is about
Which one?
the YouTube.
YouTube link?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
And do definitely follow along. I just want to follow up. So we libertarios, believe two things. Number one, you own yourself. This should be self-evident, but the argument is that if you don't believe that, you're implying that somebody else can own you. Nobody should own you. Number two, we think you should have as much liberty in your life as you can, as long as you're not impacting somebody else's liberty. So, for example, libertarians support decriminalizing all drugs, not because we want you to get high. I mean, we do want to get high. That's obviously okay with us. But we support legalizing drugs because it's your body. You own yourself. And if you want to put something into your body, that's okay. We shouldn't say, oh, only a doctor says whether or not you can take this medicine. If there's a medicine that you want to take that might save your life, you ought to be able to do that. Sometimes it's simplified as don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. But I like to keep that emphasis on self-ownership. So no government has a right to a preemptive right to any money that you earned. If you work for a living, that money belongs to you. Now, if you want to give some of it to the government, that's totally fine. But the government shouldn't be able to take it from you, because the second and most important thing that we believe is don't use force against other people. That's it.
Works for me.
So join the Libertarian Party of Spain. They're awesome. I know they do have a party.
Carlist. Dan, you know what a Carlist is?
I'm sorry, what?
You know what a Carlist is? I'm racking my brains from my old political science days.
What is the word?
Carlist.
Like the religious thing? No, that's a Calvinist.
Oh, no, he supports the monarchy.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I didn't think there were many people left who did that. All right, wait. I got to share my screen, Dave. You got to put it on the big screen.
All right.
Partido Libertario.
There we go.
Estamos cerca de... Tyler, can you read it for me?
Estamos cerca de ti, buscamos en tu comunidad.
Excellent. And look, they talk about, the Libertarian Party talks about the death of John McAfee, which we were just talking about. I'm willing to bet. Let's see what they say. He's a hero of worldwide libertarianism. And yeah, it's very sad. They're expressing their regrets. That's my pidgin Spanish. But you should definitely check out p-lib.es. Here's the link on the top. You can find the Libertarian Party of Spain. They actually have a really good site, I have to say.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's good stuff.
Yeah. So
no show next week.
Yeah, no show next week. We'll try and talk with Anthony Welty on the main show in a couple weeks, although that might get preempted by the LNC meeting. I sure hope not. I hope that's held earlier in the day. He's starting a new initiative, and I want to talk to him about it. And then we'll do another deep dive after dark after that. I will be hosting Libertarians at Large this week. Eric Raudsep is on his honeymoon. Well earned, well done. Glad to see him getting out there.
I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, Eric is one of my favorite people in the LNC. I love Eric. Yeah, and so I agreed to step in for him. He asked me a couple weeks ago, and I forgot that Thursday is my birthday, so I'll be hosting it on my birthday. But
happy birthday! How old are you?
We'll have a party. I will be 48.
Wow, you are.
We should have a political deep dive birthday party after you're done with that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we can bring
we'll do it after dark after that.
We can bring you daddy presents.
All right.
What is those?
I'll wear my special outfit for you, Daddy.
Yeah. Lots of leather.
I thought. Now, see, this is where I'm ignorant. I thought daddies wore leather.
There's no leather on the earth to cover this.
That's funny.
Too many cows would have to die.
All right.
I do enjoy steak.
Well, that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Libertarians at Large.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the premier broadcast. So make sure you pump your own show. Run some banners talking about it. Yeah, you can see me if you like me, Dave Valente. I host a show called The Political Deep Dive. That's a lot better than this show.
Like
crappy ass guests.
We got more.
Exactly.
But
that can be your birthday present. Let him shit talk your show while you're on.
Yeah. Again, thanks to the people that we've lost this week, John McAfee, and Mike Ravel, and why do I keep forgetting his name? The guy in Denver,
Johnny Hurley. Oh,
Johnny Hurley. I just keep drawing a blank on his name, but who was the Steve Horowitz?
Steve Horowitz.
Yeah. All these people that we lost this week. Honor them by continuing to fight for liberty and fight for the good things that we're working towards, and thanks to them for their efforts, and we'll pick up the torch from here. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see everyone in a couple weeks. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.